Back on Speed Street, Joey Molinaro, Connor Daly. What's up, man?
Sir.
How you doing?
You know what? Great early morning to spread the joy and cheer of motor racing, and a lot going on in the world. I feel good. It's very exciting to be actually like able to get into this week by week. And just start talking about stuff. Yeah.
That's huge. You get the consistent, and everybody's like, "Oh,
yeah,
I know my Speed Street. I'm gonna be hopping on Speed Street every week,
exactly.
at this time." So
and
it's
we're
good.
we're on a lot of platforms now, which is important.
I'm glad you brought that up. We are on both Spotify. You can follow us. You can follow us on Apple Podcasts. We finally got that up. First 3 shows are on there, and so follow us on whatever is easiest for you in terms of your listening platform. The YouTube, we had a mishap last week because I didn't clear my storage on my phone. That's what we record on, but we're also on YouTube. If you want to watch or just put it on YouTube while you're at work and see us in the video, you know what I mean, and let it just ride, you can do that as well. So YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, follow whichever is easiest. And also need you to give us a rating and a review. And I know that everybody says that.
Just like Uber.
Yeah. But
this 5 stars.
This is why it's important.
Yes.
It's important because, one, we love to get feedback from our listeners and see what they say. And if you have something in the review, hey, I like when you guys do this. I hate when you do this. We want to hear that, and we want to be able to make it better. And 2, the algorithms on these shows, it's important for them to see that people interact, that people are rating it, that they're reviewing it. It then pumps us up to where the more ratings and reviews are in there, the more people who are just coming into the podcast world or let's say they're a motorsport fan. They're looking for a motorsport podcast. And then all of a sudden, because we have more ratings and reviews, then Speed Street's going to pop up there. So just take 2 minutes, give us a 5-star, 4-star, hopefully a 5-star, and then leave, hey, Connor and Joey do a great job. We'd love to hear this, yada, yada. So that's my spiel.
Or you could say, what was that comment that you got on your Instagram? You could really be real honest with Joey and say
this is true. This is a commonplace on my Instagram DMs. You can leave a review because the video version is up there. You can say, hey, Joey looks like a handsome lesbian with his glasses. So
there you go.
That's something that I got on my Instagram DMs this morning.
That sounds like a great compliment.
You're
handsome.
It could have been ugly. That's true.
Yeah, you're handsome.
Yeah. So appreciate that.
I didn't get called handsome this week. Not yet.
You need the glasses. Then.
That's true.
I think the glasses is the go-to.
Just a wise young man.
Yes, exactly. All right, so that's a spiel on that. Thanks for being with us. Also, thanks to the shop Indy. I got locations Broad Ripple, Clay Terrace. I believe they're working on one downtown. That'd be phenomenal.
When I do go to my podcast, like on Apple Podcasts now, it is cool to see our logo there because it looks good compared to all the other podcasts that I listen to. Yeah, I like it.
It does. They whipped up that logo.
Professional.
Brian Kelly and his folks at the shop whipped up our Speed Street logo, so thank you to them. Best indie merchandise in the game, whether it's Colts, Pacers, IU, Butler, Purdue, of course, Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They just came out with a hoodie that is absolutely bonkers. Great. The Indy 500. It's very, very nice. So thanks to them. Go check them out. Support them. And let's get rolling. Today we got to talk about COTA over the weekend.
Oh, yeah. Big F1 race over the weekend. The U.S. Grand Prix.
Huge turnout.
Yeah.
Some weekend plans. We got Halloween coming up this weekend. I got some questions to ask Connor about the holiday season. And then, of course, we had some questions, some yellow, what is it? RYG? Red, yellow, green. Red, yellow, green coming up from the listeners.
We also had an IndyCar test that happened in Barber.
Yes.
That was very, very interesting. And I think something that I really want to get into today as well. There was a lot of internet chatter. If you're a motorsport fan, you probably saw this, but there was a NASCAR race and an F1 race around the same time on Sunday. And there was a lot of talk on I watched this race for this reason. And I get really upset at people because usually when IndyCar is racing, maybe there's another race that comes on after it or before it or in between or whatever. So I watch all racing. I watch it all. So I want to hear your thoughts on this because there was a lot of people arguing I'd rather watch this because of that. I was like, yeah, but you watch that because you like racing. You might like a racing form in particular, but why not diversify your portfolio? Yeah, like if you like to see fast cars go around each other and battle, well, I mean, you're not going to see a lot of that in F1, but at least it is, it is on and it is available. You know what I mean? So there's some interesting chatter to be had there. So
absolutely.
And a great Indy 500 driver of the week.
Of course.
Actually, I don't know anything about him, but it's a cool name.
That's a given. I think maybe Speed Street's first piece of merchandise will have maybe our logo on the front and then just the starting grid of the Ricky Treadway
Indy 500
drivers of the week on the back. That'd be phenomenal.
But let's dive into COTA.
Yeah. So talk to me about that. The crowd looked amazing. It looked packed. It looked like it lived up to the hype.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I think, probably next on your list of events. You've been to a lot of races this year, getting a lot of experience. And I've been to COTA several times before, like the first U.S. Grand Prix. And it's funny because when I was still racing in Europe, I was, that was the goal for me, is to be, hey, I got to get to the U.S. Grand Prix. Mm-hmm. And there was a very, very small chance at one point in one year that I was going to do the Friday practice with the Force India Formula One team. And man, I was dying to do that. Like it was going to be really, really cool. There wasn't any Americans in Formula One at the time. Rossi was also trying to get to Formula One, and we were both kind of like thereabouts. And it was just such a cool. It's always great to have Formula One in America because it doesn't happen that often. We used to have the U.S. Grand Prix here in Indianapolis. Mm-hmm. That didn't work out great. But it would be nice to have another race back there.
Why didn't it work out great? Oh, it was before my time.
Yeah, so before your time. So there was a big debacle in the U.S. Grand Prix. I think like the last 2000. Oh, this is like early mid 2000s, where there was like a big tire mishap. Where like Formula One at the time, there were Michelin tires and Bridgestone tires, and the Michelin tires were failing in the oval turn. They were using the different form of the road course where they didn't. You know how the Indy GP road course, we have those like two hairpins before we come up onto the front straight. So they would basically just go around banking the oval turn one.
Got it.
And so that was creating a lot of stress for the tires, and tires were exploding. And so Michelin decided to not allow any of their cars to do the race. So instead of 20 cars on the grid, there were 6 cars, the only Bridgestone cars. And so it was like a big, and there was like, 100,000 people there, a massive crowd. Everyone was just throwing stuff. It was just horrible. It just did not work out well. It wasn't any fault of the track. It was all on Formula One. Like it was not, like they knew what racetrack they were coming to.
Yeah, right.
Like, but it was massive. It was a massive problem. So that was kind of a bit of a issue for the U.S. Grand Prix for a while. That's why there was no American race for a while.
But over the summer, weren't they testing Formula One cars at IMS?
No, not that year. They don't do any testing. Wait, are you talking this summer?
Yeah.
No.
I thought there was some sort of Formula One thing going on there. They had them back on track.
No, so that was a Ferrari Challenge weekend where they had a couple like classic Formula One cars come and do it, but the track's changed now, so it doesn't really present many issues. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why there was no U.S. Grand Prix for a while, but man, COTA is a great place. COTA was purely built for Formula One, U.S. Grand Prix. And it's a wild facility. I mean, IndyCars race there, NASCAR now races there. It's such a great town for race Austin as well. And the crowd was awesome. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was massive. And I think we talk about it a lot, but the Netflix effect, you know what I mean? Formula One has Drive to Survive on Netflix.
Saw that all over Twitter.
There's a lot of people. Yeah, like I just clicked on an article this morning that was like, all right, I see a lot of people talking about Formula One and the Netflix effect, but I really dove deep into it. Now, I didn't get into the article yet, but like I promise you, a lot of it is because of the Netflix effect. Like Formula One is looked at like this wildly elite form of motor racing, right? Because it is the top level in the world, for sure. But it's because you have Ferrari, you have McLaren, you have Aston Martin. Like, these are all like stuff people wish they could have. You know what I mean? And so like, I think you look at the crowd and it's like, it's almost like a soccer crowd as well, because you got all the, everyone came from Mexico to see Sergio Perez, you know what I mean? Which is awesome. And like, it's almost like close to a home race for Sergio. And now he's going to Mexico to race, which would be even bigger. And I think there's so many people that, like, when I lived in Europe, guess where everyone wanted to go? America, to check it out. You know what I mean? And like, this gives a lot of Formula One fans from Europe to like come over to America, check out the U.S. Grand Prix. And I think we see a wildly diverse fan base at the Austin race because fun place to go. It's wildly open. The weather's great. You know what I mean? And gosh, I think everything just lined up perfectly for them this year. It was a big bounce back from whole COVID shutdown, and the race with the rivalry between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, there were so many celebrities there, which we also have to get into because there was some hilarious
mishaps on the grid.
Yeah, but. Yeah, it's just it's such a massive event, and just to see that again, I think for a lot of us, we haven't seen massive crowds at events. Obviously, more recently, like obviously college football games are getting packed out, which is awesome. But like to see everyone scattered around a motor racing circuit is really really cool. So the race was okay. Like if you like Formula One and you know how the strategy works out, like you saw that it was, pretty good. My buddy Freddie Alonso, he was slapping wheels with a lot of different people. Love that for him. And Daniel Ricciardo, I don't know if you saw, but he got to drive Dale Earnhardt's old NASCAR as well there, which was really, really cool. I mean, when you look at Formula One, which I find interesting because I'm a big Formula One fan, obviously. Their major event is Monaco, right? The Monaco Grand Prix. Everything's really special. Everyone wants to go there. Everyone does special helmets and special stuff for that. But COTA was almost like, it seemed like it was almost bigger. Like the hype was bigger. Like we had all the F1 guys here this week doing stuff on ESPN. They were doing stuff in New York, California, a bunch of media. There was Monday Night Football. Daniel Ricciardo was on the pre-race show pre-game show for Monday Night Football. Like, wild promotion. Every single driver had a special helmet for this weekend, or last weekend, which was really cool, I think. Like something to do with America, something to show that, hey, we're in Austin, we love Texas.
Cowboy.
I'm going to ride some bulls, horses,
right.
I don't know, you know what I mean? So I think it almost competed with Monaco on a level of recognition. It was unbelievable. So great for Formula One, great for motorsport, I think, in the United States. But it also came with some interesting stuff. There was a grid interaction on the grid before the race that seemed to lead to quite a lot of controversy.
Well, first before we even get into that, like this dude, whatever this pit reporter is, who was going for ABC, I was flipping it on. The Steelers had a bye, so I was like, let me check out a little bit of the F1, see what this is all about. And it was a pre-race stuff, and this guy was just walking the grid for like 20 minutes without like, how usually there's a host that like they'll toss it back, back to you, Mike, and then Mike will take it. And then when they have another driver, they'll be like, all right, let's go back down to, Kevin Lee, and he's got Connor Daly. This dude the camera was just following him, and he was just like turning back around like guerrilla warfare style. And then he was just trying to find people. And then he tried to find Meg Thee Stallion. And then what happened?
No, so that guy, Martin Brundle, legendary driver himself. I think he raced against my dad, I believe as well. Maybe he was after my dad, but either way, I raced against his son, Alex Brundle, which is hilarious. I raced against him in GP3 back in 2011 or something like 2012. So I know them. Like, and Martin he's got a great voice, like a very unique voice.
Yeah.
But that broadcast team is what goes basically all around the world. Like it's Sky Sports, which is British. So that's why he said British television when he went up to interview Meg Thee Stallion, who it's very funny because there were a lot of articles and a lot of motor racing fans were like, who is that? You know what I mean? And I was like, well, you guys clearly live under a rock.
Right, yeah.
Because this person is quite famous. But you know what? If you don't pay attention to like pop culture or like whatever that is,
you're not going to know.
You're not going to know. And it's funny because you had like Rory McIlroy on the grid, big golf guy, and you had, that a bunch of actors. Serena Williams, I think, was there. Just a wildly famous group of people. Chris Bosch was there.
Ian Happ from the Chicago Cubs was there.
Yep. And so it was one of those things where Martin was trying to interview everyone, and he's walking along, and Meg Thee Stallion is walking along, and he comes up to her and he's like, "Oh, Meg Thee Stallion, hello," like in a wildly British voice. And to be fair, he asked a really stupid question.
What was the question?
He was like, oh, you're a freestyle rapper. Are you going to do some freestyle rap for us today? And I was like, first of all,
dude,
who is using freestyle rap as a term? You know what I mean? I was like, what is going on here?
Hey, you're 70 years old?
Yeah, so I felt uncomfortable already just watching it because of that question.
Yeah.
And I think as soon as she heard it, she was like, are you kidding me? And probably has no idea who this guy is. But like on Martin's side, you got to understand where you're at. Like, I don't care how famous you are. Like, I really don't. This is not your world. Like, if you're at this event, like, can you imagine if like a driver was trying to like walk to his car and there was this giant security guy who was like, basically eventually just pushed Martin Brundle away, which is like you're pushing ABC national network television away.
Yeah.
Like he's a weird fan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that I just don't like. Like, I don't care how famous you are. Like, it's not a bother for you to stop for 5 seconds on a grid that's actually shut down to pedestrians. It's not like I couldn't even get out there if I was there.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be someone or affiliated with a team to be out there. So, like, that stuff just gets to me because, like, I see, like, even when I see like IndyCar drivers sometime, like walk away from like a fan, or like they can't stop because they got to go somewhere. Like, I hate that. I'm like, yes, sometimes we do have to go somewhere, but like, this was just so wild because it was caught on TV. And when we all saw it, we were just like, I can't believe that just happened.
I have it pulled up here. I actually have internet. It's going to be kind of wonky, but this is the first time that I've seen it, so I got to check this out here.
You didn't watch it yet? You got any rap for us today?
No rap today.
No rap today. Like, she's selling sandwiches.
I can do that because I did.
Wait. Hold on.
Who are you supporting in the race? I can do that because I did.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those situations where it's just like, oh no, like.
Obviously, so here's what happened. Martin Brundle had no idea who the hell the Meg Thee Stallion was.
I think he probably did. Like, he has kids that are our age.
I'm thinking that he maybe didn't, but the producers are like, "Oh, Meg Thee Stallion's down there. He's like, who the hell is that?" They're like, "She's a rapper." He's like, first thing comes to mind. He's like, okay, so that's what I'm gonna ask her. Are you gonna rap for us? I have to ask her something. This is what I'm gonna ask her.
Yeah.
See. But I kind of feel for Meg Thee Stallion because as somebody who, when I'm out and about and it's like a Wednesday evening and I'm having dinner with my wife or something and or like a casual drink on a Thursday night and somebody walks
Tigers.
Yeah, somebody walks by just like, dude. Can you give me Saban right now? It's like, I kind of wish I had that blonde-haired guy to just like shove him away. You know what I mean?
And that guy is massive too. I don't think he is. He might be an alien. Like, that guy is like 8'10". Her security guard.
Oh no, I'm talking about her like publicist guy who walks.
That
the
guy,
blonde
I don't
guy.
like him at all.
The guy looks like he's from Backstreet Boys.
As soon as I saw that guy's face, I was like, don't like that guy. Yeah, the blonde dude who like he looks like MGK wannabe. You know what I mean? Like a Machine Gun Kelly
absolutely.
wannabe.
Like, his dad's super rich and he doesn't have to do anything.
Her security guard, I'm sure, is an incredible person. Probably former NFL player. He might have played for the Steelers. You never know.
Dude,
Like,
that's so funny.
That guy's like 7'10" and just like guarding from anyone that is poorer than her. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just
well, that's like at the Roval, Daniel Craig.
Oh yeah.
He had a team of like 6 of those guys.
Well, he's James Bond.
Yeah, I know. But like they were even around. He was in a golf cart and they had a perimeter around his golf cart.
It's incredible.
Like, he was the president.
I find that wild. So anyway, I watched that video so many times. Here's what would have been fine, and here's what would have been like everyone would have sided with Martin, is if he would have just asked, "Oh, hey, Megan Thee Stallion, great to have you here. Who are you supporting today?" Because that was what he last tried. Because that's interesting. It's like, why are you here? Which she was paid by Cash App to be there. So, like,
of course,
she was supporting Red Bull. but like, it would have been really interesting if it was like, oh, cool, quick question. Here we go. See you later. But
Meg Thee
again,
Stallion supporting a F1 driver.
Yeah,
cool.
Love
bang.
that. But like, obviously, it's hindsight's 2020, of course. So you can easily say that now. But it's but yeah, it just stirred up so much controversy. Then Martin was like, "Oh, I don't care who you are, but you gotta respect." Actually, there was
my grid.
No, there was a great tweet that he put out. He's like, "Normally, I was when I on the Formula One grid, the only names that made me nervous were Senna, Prost, Schumacher. And I was like, okay, that's awesome. And he's like, not Megan Thee Stallion, or like not like any of these. And I was like, actually, that was a great tweet. Like I was like, those are the only people that makes Martin Brundle a little bit nervous. Not any of this, not anyone else. And I was like, you know what? That's exactly right. Like if I'm on the Indy 500 grid, guess who I'm not nervous to talk to at all? Lady Gaga or whoever is there. Because guess what? I'm more concerned about what's Joseph Newgarden going to do today. How am I going to react to Elio Castroneves? What's going to go on when I try to battle with Romain Grosjean? Whatever it is.
Also, all those guys are a little bit more on edge because they're about to go 230 miles an hour for 3 hours.
Exactly.
So,
like when I went up to Lady Gaga for a selfie on the grid in 2016 before the race, I was like, I don't care. I was like, hey, can I take a picture with you? And she was like, oh yeah, sure. And I was like, great, thanks.
What'd you call her? Did you call her Miss Gaga? Did you call her Miss Lady?
You know what? I did not. I don't remember what I called her, but I think I just said hello. Because again, I did not know what to say. What do you call Lady Gaga?
I don't know.
Hello, Miss Gaga. Or like, do you Google her real name and be like, try to be like inside baseball guy? You know what I mean?
No, that's a no-go there, man. I feel like that's reserved for partners and parents, and that's about it.
Maybe well, I feel like if you want to be polite to Megan Thee Stallion, do you say Miss Stallion?
I call her MTS.
Okay.
It's a little bit shorter.
Martin Truex Sr. Yeah.
Hey, yo, MTS. I'm sure that would go over really well.
Inside baseball. Yeah.
Lady Gaga real name, actually.
Oh, yeah. Watch out.
Oh, boy.
Is it like something interesting?
Yeah, fairly, yeah. Stephanie Joanne.
Stephanie, yes.
But it's spelled Stefani. So it's kind of,
I know a Stephanie spelled like that.
Stephanie Joanne Angelina Germanota.
Okay, so she has 75 names. That's good. Anyone famous has 46 names.
Hey, what's up, Steph?
So apparently she did party with everyone in IndyCar that night, except for me because I had my own party at downtown Indianapolis.
At Revel.
And apparently they do call her Stephanie. Like that, like Hinch and Hinch's lady were all partying. And Joseph and his lady were partying with Miss Gaga.
Of course they were.
Yes, because they're celebrities. They didn't come to my party. It's fine. And
your party is more fun. I know that because we went to your party last year.
And yeah, so apparently they did call her Stephanie. However, I did not see that, so I can't attest to that.
She's only 35.
That's wild.
I guess.
I
guess that's right about.
I grew up with Lady Gaga rising to fame. Yeah, and I'm 29.
Yeah. I mean, about middle school, early high school, Lady Gaga was coming around.
Lady Gaga.
She was early 20s, mid 20s.
Yeah.
How tall is she? Now I'm getting into Lady Gaga. I'm like,
I don't want to get a deep dive into Lady Gaga here today, but she is wildly famous. Nice gal too. I really respected her. So
all right, so Stephanie, that's great. Look forward to maybe her being back at the 500 here soon.
Stephanie, if you want to come on the podcast, do let us know. Reach out to our people.
come out to Conor's after party and throw down at Envy and put on a show or not, whatever. All right, so that's what went down in F1.
Yeah,
eventful weekend.
Great event. Like it was cool to see. I wish I was there, but I was not famous enough to get a credential. So I drove down to Nashville instead for one day.
But by next year, next year
will be good.
NASCAR.
Yes,
Kyle Larson does it again. Correct?
Did he win?
I think he did.
Didn't he? I forget.
I feel like here's a motorsports podcast.
This is a motorsports podcast. I don't know, actually. I completely forget what happened.
Results. Yep, it was Kyle.
Okay,
it was Kyle Larson.
If in doubt, Kyle Larson's winning.
Okay, so now I got to ask this.
Yeah.
Where does Kyle Larson rank? Where will Kyle Larson end up in terms of the all-time rankings? Because the man just seems to be able to do whatever, win whatever he wants.
Yeah. I honestly think that he is one of the most talented guys in the world right now. I cannot wait to see him do the Indy 500 someday, because obviously it's not a question of if, it's a question of when.
Yep.
And I think motor racing fans in general, doesn't matter what you support, whether it's Formula One, NASCAR, or whatever, IndyCar, everyone wants to see that. who's going to dip their toe in the water? You know what I mean? It was great when Fernando Alonso came over to do it. It was great when Kurt Busch did it. It's great when, Grosjean's over doing it now. So I think he is one of those guys, a generational talent. And I think, honestly, obviously he's been through the thick of it. You know what I mean? He made some mistakes. But, I think sometimes it might take that to get yourself in a different headspace, get yourself sorted out. He obviously came out the other side of it stronger, smarter, a lot wiser, you know what I mean? More focused, maybe. All the guy does is race. The guy races like hundreds of times a year. Dude, whether it's in the dirt, whether it's anything.
We saw BC39 event over the summer. We swept that.
Yeah, incredible.
I was just at Roval, won that.
He's successful on road courses and ovals, which is it's not like he only on mile and a half is he winning, you know what I mean? Or only on super speedways. He's winning on everything. So it would be a real travesty if he loses the championship because of the whole playoff scenario and, how you have to win to advance and stuff like that or score enough points. But he's definitely doing all the right things. And no matter what, he's going to have the most wins of anyone this year. You know what I mean? So I think that's really, really cool. And I do believe 10 years from now, Kyle might have 8 championships. You know what I mean? He might have 10 championships. I don't know. It just depends on what he wants to do. I could see him though going from hey, I'm gonna
damn, he's only 29.
It's crazy. Yeah. So he's probably gonna do the double at some point. I don't know when, but I hope that he does. And I can't wait to see it. I would love to be a part of the Indy 500 that he does. You know what I mean? So
that'd be outstanding.
Very, very good. And I think going from that NASCAR, talking about NASCAR and Formula One, there was a lot of discussion this weekend. And we also still have to talk about the IndyCar barber test because a lot of us like IndyCar, and there was an interesting test that went on.
That is true. We are kind of
this involves IndyCar as well, though, because there was a lot of discussion this weekend, and I got into it on Twitter with some people that I said, because AP was tweeting about oh, hey, Formula One did this, and there were a lot of people at the Formula One race, but not a lot of people at the NASCAR race. You know what I mean? But then the NASCAR race scored better on television than the Formula One race, and I was like, of course, why are we so determined to pit these two against each other? You know what I mean? Right. Or the same as IndyCar. If you get the the ratings on the weekend, right, and you look at even when IndyCar is racing, it's NASCAR, IndyCar, Formula One, whatever. And I feel like I see it so many times too. There's a very, very, very dedicated NASCAR fan base. There's a very, very, very dedicated IndyCar fan base, and a very, very, very dedicated Formula One fan base. Yeah. And I think there's not enough in between where people are like, you know what? I'll watch it all.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, I will watch everything. I will watch the NASCAR truck race. I will watch the Xfinity race. I will watch the Cup race. I will watch the Formula One race. And I'll be in the IndyCar race, hopefully. You know what I mean? So there's a lot goes on, and I find it fascinating that people are either so shut off to it, because I find it weird that our races that get led into by a NASCAR race, right? Let's say NASCAR is on, and after that on NBCSN is an IndyCar race. Mm-hmm. Their ratings are there's a million more people that watch that stay tuned, that don't stay tuned for an IndyCar race. And I'm like, man, what does that mean? Are we is it because people don't like IndyCar racing? Do they really think it's a worse product? Is it a personality thing? What's going on? So it really gets to me because I like car racing, but that's because I'm a car racer, you know what I mean? But I also, the people that I interact with at the racetrack are usually very dedicated IndyCar fans. But then I enjoy talking to people that come up to me and they're like, hey, what did you think about, the Formula One race or the NASCAR race or whatever? I'm like, hey, well, I loved that. I loved this. You know what I mean? We talk about it all here.
Yeah.
You're a fairly, new thrust into it race fan, you know what I mean? And do you have an appreciation for all of them? Whether or not, you probably haven't watched many Formula One races yet, but would you be hey, that's interesting, you know what I mean? What do you think about it?
Yeah, I see both sides because, I came up with IndyCar, right? Even before I became as big of a fan as I am now, I just covered that my prior job, and so I was familiar with it. But then, now you have these ties, and I have these connections and these relationships, like with yourself and Joseph and Hinch and Rossi and all these people. I mean, these great dudes, great families. The track. So my loyalties definitely lie there with IndyCar. But I think because I'm a newcomer to the game, a little bit of a late bloomer, that it doesn't necessarily, I don't have blinders on, right? So I'm willing to go to Charlotte for a NASCAR weekend, to check that out, to throw on the NASCAR race, to follow that, to get to know those drivers, because I'm like, hey, if the IndyCar drivers are this dope, I'm sure the NASCAR drivers are pretty cool too. Turns out they are.
So that's an interesting thing that you mentioned. It's when you interact with the drivers. So like, not a lot of us in America ever get to interact with Formula One drivers. So that might be something very interesting right there that you said. It's like, hey, when we go to this race in America, we can interact with IndyCar drivers and we like it. Or like, sometimes you can interact with NASCAR drivers too, but realistically, Formula One, like, no one gets to interact with the drivers because they're like, wild. The paddock is wildly locked down. You can't get in there. You have to have a super special connection to get in the paddock. You know what I mean? So it's very interesting. And obviously they only have one race in America. And so then a lot of people are like, oh, we don't like Formula One because they have one race in America and NASCAR has 38, you know what I mean? Or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I get that. But like, and also it is hard to follow Formula One because it's on at 6 a.m. most of the time. You know what I mean? But I still think that, maybe it is down to the people. And I don't know why I just don't know why we can't get more like overall support for everything. You know what I mean? Like, because if one motorsport is doing well, that's awesome. Some people say, oh, well, if one's doing well, it's going to feed down to the rest. I don't know if that's the case yet. You know what I mean? But like, if all of them are going better, then that helps everyone. Because if you're out on the weekend at, Kilroy's Brothers, whatever it is, like, and you're like, hey, did you see that NASCAR race? Or like, yeah, did you see the IndyCar race? Like, yep, that'd be great. Like, yeah, that would be awesome. Or like, if you're at a bar, right? What if you can find a bar that has 2 different forms of racing on at once? Well, man, that would be a home run. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's not a sports book, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that doesn't have 48 TVs, and you got the one that's in the bathroom.
Right.
You know what I
mean? And it is interesting because I'm definitely not like that with like any other sport, right? If it's entertaining, if I have a tie, I'll watch it. I'll love it. I love college football. I love the NFL. I enjoy.
And guess how many college football games are on in a day? A lot.
Shit ton.
Yeah.
And you can watch
you can probably flip around a bunch.
Around, no holds bars. I enjoy college basketball a lot. I enjoy the NBA a lot for various different reasons. I think that's what people have to realize is that like, you have to look at each product a little bit differently and not take them as like, okay, well, this is, I'm more of a NASCAR person. So because IndyCar doesn't meet that expectation or my standard for whatever, that's not how it is. When you watch a college basketball game, you're getting a different product than watching the NBA game, right?
Because I like college basketball as well, but I also get frustrated sometimes because I'm like, why are they not playing as well as the NBA? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, well, these are college kids.
Right. And then there's also the other end where people are like, the NBA, it's just too laissez-faire, and there's not that, like, people aren't slapping the floor, there's not enough defense, or whatever their reaning,
Slapping the floor.
And then you watch college basketball, and you got a bunch of Grayson Allens out there, like, hacking people and going wild.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I think people need to take that approach more into racing. That's certainly what I've tried to do is like, hey, I love IndyCar. I know IndyCar is going to go super fast. I know it's going to be very competitive, but it's going to be different than when I watch NASCAR. And that's okay. Yeah. But I'm going to watch NASCAR and I'm going to enjoy it for what that is. So maybe that's something to do with it.
I want to challenge people. I tell people all the time. I said, like, I even put this in my tweets sometimes. I'm like, you know what? I challenge everyone who loves NASCAR, just watch an IndyCar race. Just all you got to do. Just do it. Like, sit yourself down, whether you might not even have to change the channel. Might be 2 races on NBC. You know what I mean? One channel, one television, you strap yourself in. Because guess what? You probably strap yourself in for Football Sunday for 8 hours in a row. You know what I mean? Like, it's NFL Red Zone with old Cuzzy there talking to you the whole day. Like, it's one of those things. But I always challenge people. I'm like, hey, just give us a chance. That's all. Like, because I think there's something you could learn. And if you truly, like, don't, in your heart, you're like, nope, don't want to watch IndyCar. why? Like, tell us why.
Right. It's just being
tell
stubborn.
us, but I would like to know, is there a reason? Because a lot of the reasons that I see people say are wrong. I'm like, you're like, I'm sorry, what did you say?
Well, what are some of the, what are they? What are some of the reasons?
Oh, well, those cars don't race as well. And I'm like, what does
that even mean?
And then they're like, well, it's not an oval race. And I'm like, well, look, I think that IndyCar was a lot more popular when we did more oval racing. Like, that's for sure.
And you've been big on getting more ovals publicly for a long time.
I think our oval racing is 10 times more exciting than our road course racing. But we still do race on road courses way better than any other open wheel formula, which is basically Formula One. You know what I mean? Like, our racing at tracks, road races, street races are more competitive than Formula One.
Well, it was, where was it? It was the second to last race this year. Didn't Colton start 13th?
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of guys. Like, we have guys that, like Alex Palou at Portland, who got sent all the way to the back with me at the beginning of the race, ended up winning the race again. You know what I mean? There's a lot more.
So my point is that you can, you don't have to be in the top three. You can start mid-pack. You can get fucked up and get to the back of the pack and then come back. Like,
if you start at the back of the pack in Formula One, never going to win the race. If you start at the back of the pack in NASCAR, unless you're like Kyle Larson or like a really good car, not going to win the race. There's only a few cars in NASCAR that are probably going to win the race. Only about 2 to 3 cars in Formula One that are going to win the race. In IndyCar,
there's at least
roll the dice.
Yeah,
like, it could be. We had 10 different winners this year, something like that. 9 different winners, whatever it is. And that, I think, is, maybe it is too different for people. Maybe it's like, well, I don't know who this guy is who won this weekend because he wasn't that guy who won last weekend. And it's like, I don't think that's true. So I don't know why, but I really hope, just purely for the health of motorsport, because I think right now motor racing is actually doing quite well. IndyCar is going better. We have the most cars of any open wheel series on the grid right now. Formula One is really strong. NASCAR has always been strong and will continue to be strong because it's NASCAR, and they've got, it's just, NASCAR's a powerhouse. Yeah. It's just massive. So things are going well, but for us as drivers and for more, to inspire more young drivers, and a big, that huge push for diversity in racing right now, get more, females and African-American drivers and all this, people from all over the place, that will happen if motorsport as a whole continues to grow. You know what I mean?
And I'd say, look no further than me in terms of
look no further than Joey.
It's once you get in and once you just give it a chance and you think on it and you give it more than 5 minutes of thought, it's really easy to fall in love with.
Get below the outer layer.
Yeah, take it from me. It just starts with the itch of, the Indy 500 in the month of May, boom. But then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wow, I want to go to these other cool places. Wow, this is great. These tracks, these courses, these drivers are awesome. Oh, boom. Now I love racing, love IndyCar racing. Now I'm going to hop into NASCAR, and that's awesome as well. It's so easy to just get into if you just let your guard down for more than 5 minutes and just be like, oh, I don't know, racing. That's not one of the big 3 sports or whatever. Let it down. And you'll find a very, very exciting, entertaining, new found love for an awesome sport.
Yeah.
So,
and I think than me. I think a lot of people sometimes get held back from it because they just don't understand it. You know what I mean? And
can be intimidating. Yeah.
And I like a lot of stick and ball sports, right? I love basketball, love football.
Yeah.
Not as big of a fan of baseball, but I've learned over the years that you know what? I respect it because I don't know about it. You know what I mean? And I will start to watch playoff baseball, right? Right
World
now,
Series
World Series.
Yeah.
I think that's exciting stuff. You know what I mean? I don't think they need to play 175,000 games a year. You know what I mean? But I have appreciated that more, and I think that's why we get a lot higher TV ratings for the Indy 500 because people know, hey, boom. That's the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So we're going to watch that one. You know what I mean? And so I just wish people would kind of understand, hey, we got 16 others as well. You know what I mean? And a lot of people, there was some wild stat. I've repeated this several times, but something over 90% of the Indy 500 audience don't know that there's another IndyCar race the rest of the year. You know what I mean? So it's just, even though there's ads for Detroit the next weekend or here, come to Road America in the summer. You know what I mean? So
we're trying.
Yeah,
we're trying our best. It is a mission that can and will be solved.
We will succeed.
Yes. Good discussion though. Side note.
Yeah.
I had no idea that Chase Elliott's 25.
Yeah, he's a young fella. I
thought for sure he was like 32 for some reason.
Every NASCAR driver is at least 32.
I don't know. 25? Wow.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah, man, we're getting old.
I got a little beef with Chase Elliott to pick because I was messaging with him.
Didn't you text me about this?
No. I was messaging with him after the Charlotte weekend, and because he's a big Georgia guy from Georgia, and he loves the Georgia Bulldogs. Right now, Georgia Bulldogs are number one in the country. It's looking like,
are they?
Yeah, it's looking like they'll probably, they handle business, then they'll be coming to Indy for the national championship in January. And so I, was talking with him. I was like, yeah, man. I said, once the Dogs are in town for the title, hit me up. And he was like, yeah, sounds good, man. That's really the only reason I'd ever come to Indy in January. And I was like, okay, rude. You're not totally wrong, I guess, but we can still have fun in January here, all right? Just because it's a little chilly.
Defending the hometown here.
Yeah. But no, Chase, now I call him a good kid because he's only 25.
He's a good young fella. Good young fella.
Good fella. Tap him on the head.
Yeah.
What do you want to get into?
Do we have questions?
Yeah, we'll get into some questions.
Because there's still a couple of things. There was the barber test that happened, but realistically, the barber test, there were just some new guys that got in, and some young fellows. Nico Hulkenberg was in there.
Old Kyle Kirkwood.
Kyle Kirkwood was good. David Malukas, Devlin DiFrancesco, who I've known since
cool names
he was a
coming
child.
in. Yeah.
Yep. And Nico Hulkenberg. You know what? The best thing that I love to hear these F1 guys come in and say is like, man, it was physically hard to drive. Because I was like, yep, we've been saying that for a long time. These cars are very hard to drive.
Beat the hell out of you. Red, yellow, green. Here we go. From Roger Sobey. How often does Conor sit down to rewatch the race on TV?
I didn't watch a single race this year.
If it would have been not even the Indy 500?
I don't
Too much heartbreak?
I don't have Peacock Gold, so I can't. I haven't signed up for the Peacock Premium package yet to where I can rewatch the races. So
I feel like we've talked about it. Should just be like you're an IndyCar driver. It should just be because it should come in the contract. You get the subscription to Peacock, and there you go. But if you had the ability to, wouldn't you?
Yeah. No, I would. So here's the thing. I obviously know what happens. So I find it tough to watch a lot of races unless they go well, which is weird. But I think when I come to the next year, like if I go into 2022, then I'll watch certain parts. Like, how did the start work out for these guys? You know what I mean? Because I'm probably going to be starting in a different place, or like, what did the start look like? Because the start's always very important. What do guys do? The pit strategy is sometimes important. So yes, I will watch those extended highlight clips on like on NBC's YouTube page or whatever like that. But realistically, like, I don't sit at home and just watch what I've done. You know what I mean? Because like I know what happens, and it honestly a lot of the time frustrates me because like. Yeah. I know what happened, and I'm like, gosh, this was so close. You know what I mean? They're like, we were so close from this, and it's like, how did that happen for that guy? So it honestly, like, maybe I need to watch it with a slightly clearer mind. I don't know, but it's something that you learn from it when you go back the next year, and you're like, all right, so how did the pit strategy work for this guy? What was his outlap like? Etc.
What would be the equivalent of a driver watching film? Like a football coach, a baseball hitter is watching film of a pitcher. The football coach is grinding film. What's the equivalent of that for you guys? Do you have it?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of onboard footage. I think that's probably the main thing. Like if there's, like we have, if I wanted to watch Renus's video from any other track, you'd be like, yeah, cool. We're gonna check out Renus's video. The team will help me out with like, here's what he was doing here. And, some of the bigger teams, they obviously have 3 or 4 cars that they can look at. You know what I mean? So, like, if you're at Andretti, you can look at, Ryan's video, Colton's video. Alex can look at all this stuff. You know what I mean? And so that would be the film, and then data. Like, we get all the, brake traces, throttle traces. So you can have all these printouts of like, okay, this was my lap compared to Renus's lap. Here's where he was better than me. Here's where I was better than him. And that's kind of the study that we can do. And there's a lot. What is the setup of the car? Can you look at that? A lot of numbers.
Yeah. Tough. From T Bradenbach 14.
Good job. nailed it.
You think F1 will come back to Indy eventually?
I don't know. I don't think so, because right now you got COTA and then Miami, and then they want to go to Vegas. So I think they're trying to hit big markets.
Yeah.
Big markets.
But I mean, for racing, Indy is the market.
It is, yeah. But like,
they want the flash. They want the glitz.
Yeah, exactly. Right now, I mean, F1 is all about glitz and glamour.
Okay.
Glitzy, glamoury.
Maybe if we get, a few strip clubs or some lights and some flamingos and some fountains at the
just get
out there by IMS, and maybe
Yeah.
I'll do it. I don't know.
Yeah, F1's not coming here for the brass flamingo.
From Angelo Colda, what is Shrek's last name?
What is Shrek's last name?
Mm-hmm.
Not a clue.
I don't.
Is there one?
I think they're trying to speculate if there is.
I don't think there is.
No.
I think it's like
it's like
any. It's like
share.
Yeah,
it's like
share. Seal. Yeah. Lady Gaga.
I mean, yeah, like it's just one of those one name ones. You don't need, when your name's Shrek, you don't need a last name.
You don't ask what is the Rock's last name. You know what I mean? You say the Rock.
It's the Rock. Yeah, exactly. I kind of hate that, like,
hello Rock. Yeah, like that's it.
I kind of hate that he is like going more by Dwayne Johnson.
Oh yeah, that's upsetting.
I'm like, come on, man. Just
You're the Rock.
Stay with it.
Stay true.
Shrek's a one namer. That's all you need. From N8. God, you guys' names are wild. Nathan. Nah, that's got to be what it is. Nathan _A. Favorite board game.
Oh man, you know what? This is probably going to be a bit of a surprise, but I was a big Risk guy growing up.
Whoa.
Big Risk guy. I had the whole setup. We'd get into Risk real aggressively, move the armies around. I was a big RTS game guy though too, real-time strategy.
I'm waving the red flag on that.
I'm a big Risk guy, dude. Yeah.
Holy jeez. How much time do you have to devote to that?
Oh man, you sat down for 6 to 8 hours to play that sucker.
Nope.
And this is before I was allowed to play video games. I think that's probably why.
There you go.
Because once I got into real-time strategy, I was like big Command and Conquer, Tiberian Sun, Red Alert 3, all these guys. I love that stuff. Anything Westwood Studios, I think, was the game manufacturer.
You're a nerd.
Oh yeah.
You're a nerd, dude.
What about you? What's your board game?
Candyland.
I mean, everyone loved Candyland.
Candyland's dope,
it's
man.
It's a tremendous game.
Yeah, you're like
I love, actually, great call.
It's simple, like it makes you want candy. It's a cool
Not great
venture.
for diabetics.
Well, yeah, you had to stay away from that one. Candy not included, though.
Yeah.
So you're right.
Sugar-free land is where I hang out. Guess what? Not a lot of people hang out there.
You're a loser in Candyland.
Yeah,
sorry,
exactly.
Dude. From Voodoo Mama Juju.
Oh, all right.
I like that. That's an Office reference. So I appreciate that. Why doesn't IndyCar come to Phoenix? Any plans to return? They say it's the fifth largest city in the United States.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a promoter issue. I think there was and also for us, I think our cars were such high downforce when we were racing there that it wasn't a great race. I actually loved racing at Phoenix. I think I finished in the top 10 there my rookie year. I don't know, but I loved Phoenix. Like it pushed our bodies to a very wild limit. Like it was very physically hard and very hot to drive there. But yeah, I do wish we went back to Phoenix. So that's definitely something that I don't have an answer as to why, but I would love to be at Phoenix.
When you say a promoter issue, is that like it's just hard to get people to come out?
Hard to get people to get there. I think they didn't sell as many tickets as they would have liked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not a big market for IndyCar.
Yeah,
out there
apparently
in Phoenix. All right. From my buddy Jeremiah Morrill, big race fan, actually, who I went to the Mid-Ohio race with and camped out there. He wants to know, when does Conor expect to see the next-gen engine on track to test, and how big will the change be from the current equipment?
I have no idea.
No expectations of when it's coming?
So what they try to do now, they ran a test with Joseph a couple weeks ago, where they basically, because like right now in the current engine, you can easily add power just with boost, right? So like our car normally has, whatever it is, 700-ish horsepower on the road courses, 750 with push to pass. But they can easily, like with push to pass, right? That's an added 50 horsepower immediately. So what you do is you just run the push to pass power constantly, and then you add more. So like they added 100 horsepower right out the gate just by increasing the boost. So that's something that They tested, and they also added weight to the car because apparently the hybrid system is going to be heavier. So there's a lot of testing that's going on, and obviously it's going to take some time. I don't know when they're going to have the full product, but like again, Chevy and Honda, very smart people, great manufacturers. So like they're gonna have a product probably already on the dyno here sooner rather than later, because again, it's wild engine competition right now in IndyCar. Mm-hmm. So I don't know when exactly, but the car can't get any heavier. So they got to figure out what do we need to do with the car first to kind of help supplement what we got with the engines. How does it all work together? I think there's still a lot of research to be done, but we still got some time.
What's the earliest you say that you could see that?
End of next year.
Okay, so going into 2023?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay, so we're rock steady in 2022 for what we got?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not changing anything until at least a couple years.
Got it. Cool. That's all we got. What do you want to hop into the Ricky Treadway random Indy 500 driver of the week?
We could do that. I know we're pushing time here a little bit, but I also had a little bit of 3 drivers with 3 reality shows, but I exchanged the Top Chef for Jeopardy.
Oh, let's hold that for next week. Okay. I feel because
there is something. Yeah, I think it'll be funny.
Okay,
but yeah, we'll hold that for next week.
Yep.
So you're gonna have to look this guy up since you have internet.
I have internet. Yes.
The Indy 500 driver of the week. This is from the 1979 race. 1979, Phil Threshi. I don't know who Phil Threshi is, honestly. I have not heard that name.
Guess on how to spell that name. Man, I was wrong.
Thresie.
Yep, I went with the Y. It was either Y or IE, and I went with
Phil
the Y.
Threshi. Can we tell us about it? Like, tell me about him a little bit, because I only wrote down that he finished P30 in 1979.
Oof. Phil Threshi, born April 12, 1953 in Alamo, California. Former driver in the USAC and Kart Championship Series, he raced in the 1977-1981 seasons with 15 combined starts, including the 1978-79 Indy 500.
Boom.
Hey.
Old Phil Threshi.
Well, he finished in the top 10 once, an 8th position in 1979 at Texas World Speedway.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. Indy 500 results.
See, I learn stuff about this all the time. Like, these are people that we're learning about.
Indy 500 results, 78. He was running with an Offie engine.
Yep.
Started 29th, finished 30th, so not great for Phil. But in 1979, man was running on a Chevy engine, started 29th again, finished 17th, plus 12.
Oh, see, I had him. Oh, huh. Good for him.
Well, 78.
Yeah.
He finished 30th. But then in 80,
I got the years confused. Maybe the website I'm using is wrong.
In 80 and 81, he failed to qualify.
Okay. So. Hey, good 2 starts, though.
Yeah, 2 starts.
2 more starts than a lot of people.
17th, cracked that top 20 field.
Cracked it right open.
Plus 12.
To be fair, in the late 70s, there were a lot more people trying to qualify for the race. So that's an era where when you did make the Indy 500, it's like, whew, you beat probably 20 other people. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Which is so we respect Phil Threshi. Again, if you know about Phil, please tweet us about him, because we just learned about him today.
Yes.
Which is very exciting.
Beautiful. All right, man. What we got Halloween this weekend? Are you for sure going out to Cali? What's your plan?
Yeah. I got to go driver coaching out in California. But it should be pretty fun. There's some
Coach Conor.
Yeah, Coach Conor, going to be wearing my whistle, something like that.
Just cracking the whip on some people.
Just telling them not to crash their supercars, because I think there's going to be a lot of really nice cars out there, which will be fun. I hope I get to drive some of them. I am going to bring a suit and helmet, because always be prepared.
Nice. So will you still be able to take place at any Halloween festivities out there?
I don't think so. No, I don't have a costume. Do you have a costume, or what do you?
Dude, I do. Me and the wife, we're very excited. We're doing it. Yeah, we're I'll just say it. We're going Bobby Boucher and Vicky Valancourt from Waterboy. So. Right, she's got electric. She it was tough. She said she wanted to be comfortable, but also I threw some out there that she was like, those aren't sexy enough, and I was like, there's a fine, that's a very fine line for what we're walking. I mean, if you want to be comfortable, it's hard to be sexy and comfortable. But Vicky Valancourt, she kind of has a crop top tank going on, and She shows Bobby Boucher her boobies, if you guys remember that. And the Water Boy.
Classic.
So one of the reasons is because
that's why you got a wife.
I was gifted for a birthday a couple years ago by my sweet mother a Bobby Boucher jersey.
Nice.
An authentic one. So we're gonna pull that off. It's actually gonna be my third Adam Sandler Halloween costume.
I see a trend.
I've been Billy Madison. I've been Happy Gilmore. I'm going to be Bobby Boucher, so very excited to pull that one out. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, see, I'm not a big Halloween guy. I can't pull it off.
What do you mean you can't pull it off? It's just get a costume and wear.
I suck at costumes. I don't go to the store to get one, and if I try to do something, like, it's the dumbest thing ever. You know what the most embarrassing one that I think I've ever done is when I got back from The Amazing Race. It was October 25th when we filmed that show, and I took my my fanny pack from the show. Like, we were supposed to give it back. I took it home.
Hell yeah.
And I took home like a bunch of the clues and stuff like that from the show. And so I went out as an Amazing Racer for Halloween like 6 days later, because I had just been home. I just got home from a month away, and I was like, shoot, it's Halloween. What do I do?
See,
I'm going to be an Amazing Racer. So I put on like some wild shoes, and like I put on this fanny pack. But people looked at me like, what the heck are you? Because not a lot a lot of people watch The Amazing Race, but not like my age range, I guess.
Right. But I applaud that because, one,
and I brought out clues. I taped them myself.
It's creative. 2, it's cost efficient.
Yeah, cost efficient. Yeah.
3, subtle flex that you're on The Amazing Race.
But people didn't know at the time.
I know, but
that
that's
was
a nice,
funny thing. They were like, oh, yeah.
Nice leeway into conversation.
Yeah.
Oh, what is that? What are you? Amazing Racer.
Well,
oh, wow.
wait.
Yeah, I was just on that show. Oh,
yeah.
boom.
And they're like, whoa, hey.
Yeah.
So that was a dumb idea. And, yeah, I don't know. I just haven't been anything good. Deepu, our friend, Deepu, good guy, he bought everyone Harlem Globetrotters outfits to wear for this weekend, like 5 of them. Like, he wanted to have the starting five.
Yeah.
And I was going to be one of those. But I'm gone now.
So you would have had to wear, like, is he going like short shorts?
I think so.
Short shorts, froze.
Yep.
That's good, man. Yeah. Well, I guess it's kind of good and bad for you.
Yeah.
It's bad that you had to miss out, but probably wouldn't have been.
I think I'm real self-conscious at my heart. You know what I mean? So, like, I don't want to look like a stooge. I look like a stooge most of the time.
That's what Halloween's for, man.
I know, but I just feel like anytime I get these weird glances, it's just like, we're out.
Yeah.
I'm going to get out of here.
Out on Halloween.
But I love seeing what people come up with. Like, I do love the creativity in people's minds. And obviously, you know what? Sometimes you might meet your wife on Halloween too, because there's a lot of nice looking ladies sometimes in Halloween. Good for them. Good for everyone for being an angel or like a bird or whatever has ear, a cat.
Maybe you don't want to meet your wife. Maybe just somebody to hang out with for a couple times.
What are the most classic Halloween costumes? You got the angel, the devil, and you got the cat.
you got nurse,
you
got
police officer,
you got the 3 blind mice.
Yeah. Thing 1
girl,
and thing 2. School. Oh yeah, big schoolgirl.
A popular couple's costume is Jim and Pam from The Office. Yep. Relatable.
Yep.
Trying to think of other like sexy kind of
construction worker. No,
that could. Adam
it is
and
wild
Eve.
where it gets. Yeah. Adam,
do that.
These ladies in their what are you again? I'm an angel. Oh, yeah.
I don't know if God would be too happy about this. There,
I'm gonna have a word with Jesus. I don't know.
I was trying to be Michael Myers.
Oh,
a big Halloween guy. Like the movies.
Yeah.
But the mask is incredibly hard to find.
Really?
Like it's a very hard find now, and they're all very expensive, like $75. So I'm like, I don't know. So
yeah.
Real quick, what's your go-to Halloween? Well, again, diabetic. So Halloween definitely not your favorite holiday as a kid.
Tough one for the diabetes camp. Yeah, tough one. Well, I like water and sugar-free toffee. No, it's like I'm a big candy corn guy. I love a good candy corn, a good little handful of candy corn. That's about all I can have.
Damn.
Do you like candy corn?
I mean, it's fine.
I like candy corn.
It's all right. It's not as bad as it's better than licorice, but it's not a starburst.
I feel like Lewis Black had a great joke about candy corn that was just one of the funniest things that I've ever heard. He's like, all of the candy corn, I think this was going to be like, all of the candy corn has been just recycled for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
They sell so much of it, it all goes to the stores, and then all that does not get eaten just gets recycled back into it.
Yep.
And it's all been around for 65 years or something like that. And I'm like, you know what? He's probably not wrong.
Candy corn is just something to just gnaw on. Like, it's just something to chew on.
I like the pumpkins, too. The candy corn pumpkins. You know those ones?
No.
Oh, dude, you get the little mix pack. You get the regular candy corns and the candy corn pumpkins. I'm a big candy corn pumpkin guy.
If you're at like a party and like you kind of don't really know who to talk to, there's some awkward time. Like you go into the candy corn bowl and you kind of pick around and gnaw on them a little bit.
There's a guy that's dressed like a serial killer, but he actually might be a serial killer and you don't know. So you're like, I got to eat some candy corn.
I got to get away from this guy, turn my back, eat some candy corn. All right, bro. Well, have fun in California. Be careful. I'll be ripping it up here as Bobby Boucher. So
is that just
weekend.
A one night costume or do you have like multiple lineups?
No, just one Saturday night party. I'm just ripping that. So it'll be real easy.
Watch out for Bobby on the streets here.
Yeah, I'll come knock your head off. All right, guys. Again, you can watch us on YouTube, my YouTube channel, Joey Molinaro. We're both on Apple Podcast and Spotify now. Speed Street with Connor Daly and Joey Molinaro. Please, like I said, for the algorithm and for our sake, leave a rating, leave a review, and we'll get back to you. Love to hear those as well. Have a great Halloween weekend, and we'll see you next week on Speed Street.
Oh, yeah.